When corrupt politicians, public officials, and business people steal public funds, they prefer to keep those funds in safe places. The UK is one such safe place. These funds laundered in and through the UK represent misery for millions of people around the world. The money has been stolen from health and education budgets, from infrastructure and law enforcement, and many other areas of public spending. This both degrades those services and removes funds that should rightfully be invested in their country of origin. So in this video, we are going to discuss how UK became the dirty money capital of the world. Now before we get into this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button and leave a comment below saying I subscribed. I will try my best to reply to as many comments as possible. The funds can be laundered through legitimate businesses' property, sporting clubs, gambling, expensive cars, jewelry, art, investing in the stock market, or buying a private education for relatives. The funds can also be held in cash, ready to move at a moment's notice, or the UK financial and professional services industry can be used as part of a worldwide laundering process designed to hide the money's origins. This is taking place near or in countries not far from international bodies and organizations specialized in combating money laundering, where they direct accusations against many other countries, but at the same time turn a blind eye to what is happening in London, according to Western economic sources. The origins came with the Big Bang under Margaret Thatcher when she started liberalizing the financial services sector, and then that carried on under the Labour government with a commission on deregulation, the report said. The Financial Times published a lengthy investigation that revealed the involvement of British banks and law firms in money laundering operations. It said that London had for decades represented an incubator for corruption and criminals from all over the world, and that it did not turn a blind eye to Russian money, but rather welcomed it. The Financial Times report said that 31 law firms, 86 banks, and 177 educational institutions in Britain accepted or moved dirty money from around the world back home. It added that the London Stock Exchange welcomed many Russian companies, turning the United Kingdom and London to their European base. There are statements on the record from Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister, from when he was the Mayor of London, saying that he wanted to make London a hub for Russian money. The stock exchange welcomed lots of Russian companies and wanted them to make the UK and London their European base. Let's say you wanted to bring dirty money into the City of London and integrate it into the system. There are basically 4 key stages: placement, layering, integration, and defense. So let's start with bringing your money from, say, a Latvian bank account, a Cayman bank account. You want to then move that into a UK shell company, the report said. You're supposed to tell the company's house registry who the real owners, the beneficial owners of the companies are. But in practice, it's really easy to evade those rules. And fundamentally, no one goes after companies that just lie. It is essentially a wild west of information, which is unverified, and in some cases ludicrous, the report said. You can put forward any name, hide your identity. There are Adolf Hitlers and Donald Ducks and Mickey Mouses. It is so easy to register a company on Companies House, costs £12, you can do it in minutes. And crucially, no one checks the information. Usually, the applications are approved within 24 hours. They do not actually have the statutory power to check the information, to investigate false information, or remove it from the register. The next stage you want to layer to move this money around in a series of complicated financial transactions that will distance you from the money and from your source of wealth. That's where the UK banks come in. Some 86 banks have been involved in obtaining, moving corrupt wealth around the world, the report said. The cash, by the time it arrives in London, has probably already gone through a couple of British overseas territories, like the British Virgin Islands. Step 3 is you want to integrate your wealth into the UK system. You want to buy assets, including UK property. Lawyers, real estate agents are on hand to help you do that, the report said. The report detailed that one can own UK property through a shell company, even an offshore shell company. And if you do own it through an offshore shell company, you don't have to say who really owns that property. Lawyers are on hand to advise on these complicated transactions, which creates an opaque ownership structure of some of the most valuable UK homes. Roughly 84,000 homes in the UK are owned anonymously. Some £6.7 billion of UK property has been bought with suspicious wealth, the report said. One of the attractions of being in London is the network of lawyers, accountants, oligarchs, and kleptocrats, according to the report. English law provides a stamp of legitimacy. We've identified 81 law firms, 86 UK banks, and surprisingly 177 UK education institutions that have accepted or moved dirty money from around the world. Russians own our newspapers, their children are in the elite public schools. Their properties are in Mayfair. The value of money laundering every year is between £23 billion and £57 billion in Britain, one of the largest economies in the world. Veteran Labour MP Margaret Hodge said that what is very worrying is that the government has held extensive consultations on this issue and had a bill literally waiting on the shelves for years. However, it left many holes in it. We closed some of them, and we were unable to close others. There are many points in it that we cannot achieve. I feel uncomfortable that it took the tragedy of Ukraine to get the government to act on the issue of dirty money, she added, as quoted by Independent Arabia. The same newspaper quoted Joe Powell, the co-founder of the Kensington Against Dirty Money campaign, as he asserted that ministers have to act now against the illicit wealth stored in the United Kingdom. Russian oligarchs and companies have been investing in London for 2 decades, encouraged by British politicians of all stripes, but critics say the London laundromat cleans dirty money from Russia and across the globe. The FT examines why it took Russia's invasion of Ukraine to put the issue in the spotlight and whether new sanctions and measures to tackle the problem go far enough. But for someone like me who has visited London many times in recent decades, it is striking that there seem to be fewer and fewer British people who actually live in London. Prestige real estate has been snapped up by foreign oligarchs from Russia, Ukraine, China, the Middle East, and African countries like Nigeria and Angola. And oligarchs have become notorious for the purchases of football teams, luxury goods at Harrods, which is now owned by Qatar, and a range of other expensive items. It has long been an open secret that many of these transactions involve money laundering. This means concealing the origin of money obtained from illicit activities such as drug trafficking, corruption, embezzlement, or gambling, and converting it into legitimate money. Somehow, the country's diplomats managed to convince the Financial Action Task Force in 2018 that the UK has a well-developed and robust regime to effectively combat money laundering and terrorist financing. But organizations like the Center for Financial Crime and Security Studies and journalists like Oliver Bullell are not convinced. They have been working hard to document and analyze financial crime in the UK. How to solve Britain's dirty money problem. If the government really wants to take on the oligarchs, it should fund its corruption fighters properly. If the barrage of sanctions the West has inflicted on Russia over its invasion of Ukraine, the most symbolically powerful, if not the most economically consequential, have been those targeting the cronies of Vladimir Putin. Britain's government trumpets the fact that it has announced measures against more Putin-linked plutocrats than any other country. It is less keen to talk about why that might be. London has long been a destination for dirty money. Corrupt capital flows to Britain from all over the world, but no one doubts that Russian loot is a major contributor to a money laundering problem that the National Crime Agency puts conservatively at £100 billion a year. Dodgy money has been lured to London by some of the same things as the clean variety, including a long-standing openness to foreign investment and strong property rights. Another attraction, however, is the financial secrecy offered by both Britain and its network of offshore satellites, from Jersey to the Cayman Islands. That has helped make Britain murkier than classic havens such as Panama and Liechtenstein, according to a respected global financial secrecy index. Political obsequiousness has also played a part. Successive governments looked to woo oligarchs and their billions, for instance, by hawking investor visas that gave them residency. Let us know your opinion in the comments section below. This was all for today. Hope you liked the video. Subscribe to our channel and stay tuned for more interesting videos. Stay safe, and we will be back soon with another video.